Everyone wants to be the lone wolf of SHTF. Loud bike, leather jacket, and a long highway at dusk. That dark decay Mad Max spirit. Forget it. Reality doesn't care about your aesthetic. Nobody tells you. But the person who survives alone isn't the toughest or the smartest. Not a bad guy. Not a trained Navy SEAL or SWAT officer. Not the billionaire in his high-tech bunker. It's common people like you and me, but with a specific combination of mindset, skills, and behavior under pressure. 5 types of people on this planet will survive. 4 types prep unknowingly. The 5th one is already living in it, and they are not watching this video because they are too busy surviving. Watch, figure out if you recognize yourself, or realize you've been LARPing as someone you'll never be, and drop a comment after, "Am I wrong?" Archetype 1, the silent maker. You know this guy. The neighbor who's been fixing his truck since 1987. And Ned hasn't called a repairman in 30 years because they don't make 'em like they used to. The IT guy who builds his own servers and grows his own food. Reddit hates him because he refuses to buy new things when old things still work. That one friend who learned to weld from YouTube, built a tiny house, and thinks Home Depot is a scam. The backpacker who can repair torn gear in the middle of nowhere. The kid who modded his Xbox, jailbroke his phone, and fixes everyone's busted tech for pizza money. Their scenario is the empty planet, long winter, nuclear night, ghost towns, economic collapse zones. They're the only ones who look at ruins and see resources instead of an ending. They see how things work. Physical work is their default state, not a heroic effort. Improvising from junk is a reflex. When their hands are busy, there's no time to panic. For them, a broken world is just a warehouse with inconvenient logistics. But they have a crack. In a moment of total helplessness, they fall apart faster than you'd expect. Because the guy who can fix everything has never learned how to fix himself. Archetype 2, the lone analyst. The engineer who tracks every expense in a physical ledger trusts nothing and verifies everything. The project manager who saw Y2K coming and wasn't surprised when it didn't happen. The data analyst who reads financial reports and keeps 6 months of savings just in case. Friends call them paranoid, but he calls it risk mitigation. The rock climber who triple checks every anchor point and knows exactly which bolt was installed in which year. Their scenario is slow decline, years of systemic rot, a half-empty city with rare but extremely dangerous encounters. When they can count 3 steps ahead and move before it becomes obvious to everyone, they're genuinely comfortable alone. Not tolerating it, but actually comfortable. Logistics, risk analysis, and working with information are default. The crack. The plans work until the first contact with an unpredictable human behavior. One irrational person can break the analyst's entire model, and he freezes like an overloaded processor if someone doesn't follow logic. Archetype 3, the hardened minimalist. The ultralight hiker who spent a winter in the Appalachians and calls it fine. Gear weight under 10 pounds. Comfort level 0. Regrets also 0. The guy who quit his job, sold everything, and lived out of a van for 2 years because rent was a scam. The solo yachtsman who crossed an ocean with nothing but dried food and a broken radio. The kid who did a 30-day solo camping challenge, ate bugs, and posted it on TikTok. Half the comments said mental illness. The other half said goals. Their scenario is climate collapse, mass migration, situations where resources are mobile, and you have to go find them. When being light and resilient matters more than being well-stocked. Minimalist's body is adapted to stress, which means cortisol doesn't spike into panic at the first sign of discomfort. Full autonomy. They don't need infrastructure, a network, or approval. In a world where you need to move without breaking down, they move farther than anyone. They also have their crack. The body, despite adaptation, gives out over time, cartilage wears down, and the immune system fails under unending strain. The minimalist keeps going as long as they can, but when their physical limits are reached, survival stops. regardless of willpower. Archetype 4, the Grey Vassal. This can be a small business owner, negotiator, or middle manager who somehow never got fired. The contractor who knows every inspector, every permit guy, every mayor's cousin, gets things done not through rules, but through relationships. The account manager who survives every corporate restructuring. Not the smartest, just the one everyone needs. The freelancer who always has clients is a master of, I can do that for you. The Discord mod keeps the peace between warring factions, fluent in social chess. Their scenario is neo-feudalism, local strongmen, warlords, corporate clans. People think this type of person is weak, a follower, but with a high social intelligence. They read hierarchy like sheet music. In a world where new feudal lords, gangs, and clans emerge, they're the only ones who know how to embed themselves inside someone else's power structure and survive within it. They're crack. A vassal without a lord is zero. When the hierarchy collapses, they lose identity. They were valuable to someone else, but never to themselves. Archetype 5, the already broken in. The homeless man in Chicago who knows every warm spot in the city when it's -20. The reindeer herder in the Arctic Circle who builds shelter in a blizzard on autopilot. The grandmother in rural Appalachia who's been living without running water for 40 years and calls it normal. The fisherman who rebuilds his house after every typhoon, because that's just what you do. They are inside a collapse right now, and they're not watching this video because they're too busy solving everyday survival problems. Their scenario is any sudden collapse. Grid down, supply chain gone. Cities emptying out. They know which cold kills and which cold you sleep through. They know hunger, they know fear, they know thirst, but they have a lifetime of experience and the stubborn refusal to stop moving. They're crack. They are optimized for one specific context. The homeless man from Detroit is lost in the taiga. The Arctic hunter is helpless in a collapsing city with shifting social hierarchies. Shift them outside their zone, and the advantage evaporates. There were 5 types of people who can survive alone in a collapse, and 5 different worlds, where each had a shot. The maker fixes the world until something breaks him from the inside. The analyst sees the future until he meets someone without logic. The minimalist walks further than anyone until the body says, enough. The vassal survives inside any system until the system collapses. The already broken in survives everything inside the world they already know. You see now that solo survival isn't about strength only. It's about your profile, matching the conditions of the collapse, the right person in the right chaos. Did you recognize yourself? Drop a comment. Which one are you?